everybody, and welcome to another video where I take a look at the light novels that are currently popular in Japan. Well, I say currently, but we're going back about a month or so. This time I'm going to be talking about the top 10 light novels in Japan for March 25th to the 31st of 2019. Finally finishing March. Yes. Still only a month behind. Yeah. Anyway, let's just get on with the list. At number 10, with 7,879 copies sold, Volume 13 of Seirei Gensouki. This one we have released in English by J Novel Club. They released it as Seirei Gensouki Spirit Chronicles. This one is an Isekai series about a boy who realizes that he is the reincarnation of a modern-day Japanese boy. Both of them kind of have really lousy pasts, actually. Just off the top of my head, it's like, you know, parents, family members murdered and stuff like that. And yeah, and so basically this boy Ryo, who is in this current world, of course, magic is a thing in this world, and Ryo discovers that he has magical abilities, and they're quite powerful. And he uses them to save a little girl who's been kidnapped. And he is acknowledged for his deeds and is enrolled in a prestigious academy for nobles where, of course, they all look at him like he's garbage because he is just like this slum kid. Well, you know, he's going to piece out of there pretty quick. As far as I know, I think that's like really the very beginning of the series. And the rest of it kind of has him adventuring throughout the land and, you know, seeking out sort of probably more information about the things that happened to him as a child. Maybe even how some of the things going on in his world might connect to his previous life. I haven't had a chance to check this one out yet. Definitely, though, it is on my list to get it read this year because it's a pretty popular series that's always hitting the top 10. And yeah, I want to check some of it out. At number 9, with 8,511 copies sold, volume number 20 of Serei Tsukai no Blade Dance, or as it is known in English, Blade Dance of the Elementalers. Now, this is not licensed for English release, but there was an anime of it a good number of years ago, actually. Serei Tsukai no Blade Dance takes place at a very prestigious school for holy shrine princesses called Eirishia Spirit Academy. At this school, the girls train to be elementalists and try to form slave contracts with spirits so that they can compete in battles against one another. Only females have this privilege, at least until now. You all know where this is going. Kamito Kazehaya is a normal guy in pretty much all respects, except for the fact that he's the first man in 1,000 years to be able to form a contract with a spirit, which he stole from a shrine princess named Claire Rouge. Additionally, the headmaster of the school, Greyworth, has summoned him to enroll and is forcing him to participate in a special tournament that will take place 2 months down the road. With Claire demanding that he become her contracted spirit, will Kamito even manage to survive the entire 2 months until the tournament takes place? Now, obviously, the volume 20, very long ongoing series, a series that often hits the top 10, actually. I gotta say, I think there's zero way this thing's getting licensed. 20 volumes, that already is a tough sell. The fact that the anime was several years ago, again, unless another season came up that sparked huge interest or a reboot or whatever, yeah, I think chances are really low that we'll ever see this in the English market. And honestly, I don't know, another one of those first male in 1,000 years who can wield power that's only reserved for females, yada yada. Do we really need another one of those? Especially when he's average in every way. I'm just clueless in every way. Harem. Anyway, yeah, I don't know much about this series. I actually haven't even seen the anime for this one. At number 8, with 10,104 copies sold, volume 20 of Date Alive. This one, of course, no English license for the light novels. I say of course because I say it every time there's a new volume of this, and man, I know so many of you that are begging and pleading to get this thing licensed. There was just a third season of the anime, so like, even though this is, obviously, like I said, 20 volumes, already becomes a tough sell for a lot of English licensors. The fact that it has still got the legs, there's an anime that's just been released. There's actually a game coming out in North America based on Data Live. Like, it seems like there's a lot of media hype about this series. I'm still on the fence. I don't know. Like, I gotta think that just because it keeps resurfacing in ways that pushes it out into the fandom, that there's a chance this might get licensed. This one, of course, a series about females who show up in our world. They are spirits or superpowered, or I don't really know because I haven't seen the anime or read the books, obviously. And basically, you could try to fight them, but chances are a lot of stuff's going to get destroyed. A lot of people are going to die. Or you could be the dude that romances them and makes them all happy that they came to Earth. Data Live, baby. Anyway, we'll just have to see. I kind of think that with the anime having kind of just been out and the games coming out, everything seems to be happening like this year. If we don't get a license for this thing this year, I think you might as well just put the nail in the coffin. But we'll see. We'll see. I know so many of you that are like, every time one of the licensors is like, we've got license announcements, half the comments are Data Live. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. At number 7, with 10,408 copies sold, Volume 9 of Isekai Cheat Magician, or Fantasy World Cheat Magician. There is no English license for the light novels. There is an anime that's currently in production that I think is actually coming out in July. I think is starting. I know there's been a lot of PVs and stuff like that for it. As regular high school students, Taichi and Rin disappeared in a beam of light. When they came to, the two of them were already in a world of swords and magic. Finally getting away after experiencing attack by monsters, following the suggestion of adventurers, they headed on the path towards the guild. In the guild, the two of them found out that they possessed unbelievably powerful magic. Thus, the regular high school students transformed into the strongest cheats. So yeah, it's an isekai with OP main characters. The only thing that and again, I don't know anything about this series because obviously it's not been licensed, so I haven't read it. And the anime is not out yet. But the one thing that I kind of wonder about this series is that you have automatically that pairing of male, female, and they're classmates, and they're both OP. So I kind of wonder, like, is this going to be just one of those series that, sort of like the romantic comedy, will they, won't they, will they get together, won't they get together? Half the stories are cute girls coming along to put a wedge between the two of them. Or is it more like they're competing with one another? Like, this could be more interesting than the average isekai just because of the dynamics between having two main characters that are kind of equals. And, I guess the other question is, were they even really friends? I think they were friends. I think it says that somewhere in one of the other synopses that I've seen or whatever, that they were friends at least. But, will they stay friends? Will one of them go bad? There's different angles this could take that could make it more interesting. I don't know if it'll take any of those angles, though. At number 6, with 11,257 copies sold, Volume 16 of Hachinanってそれはないでしょう, or Eighth Son? I don't think so. No English license for this light novel series. There is an anime in production currently. Ichinomiya Shingo, a young 25-year-old single worker of a firm company, while thinking of tomorrow's busy working day, goes to sleep. However, the moment he woke up, he was inside a room unknown to him. He then learned that he had taken over the mind of a 6-year-old child. Remembering a lot from the memories of said boy, he was born as the youngest, 8th son and 10th child, of a poor, noble family living in the backcountry. Having no administrative skill, he can't do anything to manage the vast land his family has. Fortunately, he is blessed with the very rare talent of magic. Unfortunately, while it could bring prosperity to his family, in his situation, it only led to disaster. Yes, this is the story of the boy, Wendelin von Benno Baumeister, opening his own path in a harsh world. So again, an isekai. You know what? This has been on the list before. Obviously when they're doing an anime. But anyway, this one's been on the list before. I'm always a little freaked out by that. He had taken over the mind of a 6-year-old boy. I was like, man, that sounds kind of like parasitic, but I think it's just like an isekai, and it's just like that the kid at 6 years old, he remembers that he was this other person, I think. I'm not too sure. It sounds creepy the other way. I'm kind of hoping it's just one of those awakened to the memories or realization of type situation. And I really don't know what way this book goes. Like, it sounds like he's got kind of a crummy life, and that even though he's got magic, it leads to disaster. So I'm kind of wondering if this is one of those series. You know how, like, there's always those series where the guy, like, it's just all about the pratfalls. It's all about the, like, crappy stuff that happens to him. And just when you think the ray of sunshine's coming in, yeah, no, it's like, the headlight of a truck kun that's coming to get him. I don't know. Anyway, if you're familiar with this series, what's its hook? Like what makes it different, interesting, anything? Let me know in the comments down below. At number 5, with 13,103 copies sold, volume number 4 of ReZero, Kara Hajimeru Isekai Seikatsu Tanpenshuu. Now, this one is actually the short story volume of ReZero. So they're compilation volumes, basically, compiling different short stories. Some of them have had sort of themes. A lot of them focus on side characters, sometimes focusing on just like a day in the life of. There's all sorts of a variety of these. Obviously, this is the 4th volume of that. We don't have these side stories licensed. Right now we just have the main series of ReZero plus ReZero EX. I don't know if we're going to get the short story volumes at this point, but you never know. If the series continues to be really popular in English, maybe that's something we'll get down the road. At number 4, with 16,508 copies sold, volume 5 of Isekai Shokudou, or as we have it in English, Restaurant to Another World. This one is licensed for English release by 7 Seas. So far they've released the first volume digitally. They are going to be releasing it in print very soon, I believe. I think in another month or so. In Tokyo lies a small restaurant called Western Cuisine Nekoya. Ordinary in every way, save one. Every Saturday, its door connects to another world. Follow along as a cavalcade of curious guests, from half-elves to samurai, dragons, halflings, and vampires, enter its premises, all with the same goal in mind, to fill their stomachs with the most mouth-watering of foods. I've heard lots of good things about this series. I did actually watch some of the anime with my wife. She's actually really excited that this series is coming out in English, to be honest. And it's sort of like this cute series that it focuses a lot more on the customers. There's not a lot of like some big, huge story arc. At least there wasn't in the anime. Basically, each sort of vignette would follow one customer and how they discovered the restaurant, how they discovered the particular meal that they like at the restaurant, and sort of where they are in their life now and how they make the pilgrimage to keep coming back and stuff like that. It's cute. I haven't read it yet because I'm waiting for the print release to come out. For those of you that have read it, how much of the food aspect is in this book? Like, do they actually have recipes and stuff? I know my wife is really curious to know. At number 3, with 18,025 copies sold, volume 10 of Shinrei Tante Yakumo, or Psychic Detective Yakumo. Haruka, consulted by a friend who ran into a ghost at school, goes to the movie research circle to see a man with mysterious powers. However, the person who meets her there is an affected young man with terrible bed hair and sleepy eyes. What does Haruka consult him about? A confinement and murder case at a women's university? A false suicide case? The great detective who can see the spirits of the dead, Saito Yakumo, takes these cases on in this astoundingly high-speed spiritual mystery. So, this one is not licensed for English release. And it's kind of interesting because this is volume 10 and volume 11. I know, I've been working on a couple of other video notes for future videos of these. And volume 11 shows up, I think, next week on the sales charts in Japan. So I don't know whether they release these ones really close together or they're a re-release. I'm not too sure what the situation is. This one sounds really cool, though. This sounds like a series that I would love to get licensed in English because, we really, do we have any actual just paranormal detective type series? I don't think we do. I'm trying to think of any that I've read or that are even been licensed that are coming along. We don't really. I think Boogie Pop's probably the closest to that sort of weird things go on at high school and let's investigate. But even then, it's not the same idea. This one obviously is a, detective who can sort of speak to the dead or see the dead and follows his investigations. I think that'd be really cool. I would really like to see a series like this get licensed. At number 2, with 30,746 copies sold, Volume 19 of ReZero Kara Hajimeru Isekai Seikatsu, or as we have it in English, ReZero Starting Life in Another World. This one is licensed for English release by Yen On. They also have licensed the manga, and we also, of course, have the anime, which covered up to Volume 9. And we finally have caught up to the anime, which is cool. I myself have not, because I'm still on Volume 8, which is not so cool, but that is just how things go. This one, of course, about Subaru, who finds himself in another world. He meets this girl that he wants to help, because she helps him out of a tight situation, and he ends up dying. And then finds himself right back where he started. And he discovers basically that if he dies, he just finds himself back at a random starting point. So really the series is following him kind of making his way in this world and, trying to find a place for himself, trying to help the people that have become his friends, and making a lot of mistakes, dying horribly, and then trying to fix it. I really like this series. I've really enjoyed it. Mainly because it doesn't cheapen the whole, rebirth through death thing or restarting via death. It really does focus on how that could play with you psychologically and emotionally, how it could break you down in so many ways. It's a really well-written series as well. I've really, really enjoyed the series so far and very much want to get caught up with it. Finally, at number 1, with 63,237 copies sold, Volume 14 of Tensei Shitara Slime Dataken, or as we have it in English, That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. This one licensed for English release by Yen On. Of course, there was just an anime series that came out. That anime series covered basically volumes 1 to 4. Story follows a Japanese salaryman who gets himself stabbed in a robbery and is reincarnated in another world as a slime. I mean, it's pretty straight ahead. Basically then following him becoming stronger, figuring out ways to survive, eventually gaining allies. It eventually kind of becomes a bit of like a kingdom building type series. I actually watched the anime. I read the first volume. I liked it well enough, but I wasn't blown away by it. But then I watched the anime and I got really into it. And I think it's because Volume 2 sort of picks up the pace a little bit. So I've actually got Volume 2. I might go back and pick that one up at some point and read it. Because, like I said, I really liked the anime. But I have heard from quite a number of people that the anime cut out a lot of stuff. And there's a lot of sort of... The feel of the anime was in some ways a little bit different than the light novels. I think I read somewhere where they said actually that the anime was more based on the manga in terms of story and feel of the story, which is kind of interesting. If you've read both, let me know. Like, is that kind of right? Just let me know in the comments down below. But funny enough, right? It's done double the sales of ReZero. The power of a recent popular anime, people. Like, when you ask why are there so many light novels getting turned into anime, 63,000 reasons right there. In this video, I want to say a special thanks to Mitchell Von Regen, Yun, Kyle Block, and Renzaz for their support over on Patreon, as well as the support of all of my patrons who have hung in there with me through the ups and downs over the past year or so, and continue to support me so that I can continue to do reviews, put out videos like this, pay for my software, my hosting, and everything else. Just really a huge help to keeping this channel running. So those are the top 10 light novels from March 25th to the 31st of 2019. Next video, we're finally getting to April, and I've got that one already prepped and ready to go, so you shouldn't have to wait more than a couple days for that one to be posted. In the meantime, thank you so much for joining me in this video. I look forward to seeing you in any of my future ones. Till then, bye-bye for now.